Bob Young back at you here with another instructional video, and in this video we're going to talk about graphing equations, and we're just going to use some real basic techniques here. So I hope you've got some graph paper out I sent you, and there is some in Angel that you can always download and so forth for graphing. And on your test, I would really like to see those graphs by hand. I know that in the software that they give you different ways to do things, but you really need to be able to do this by hand in order to really understand the concepts. So we're going to start out with the equation here, y equals 4x minus 1, and we're just going to get three ordered pairs that satisfy this equation, and that's all it takes for graphing. I mean, when you're given an equation and asked to graph something, you just have to get enough points in order to see the graph. So we're going to choose some x values and some y values here. So we're going to let x on the left side of this be -2. So substituting -2 in for x, we're going to get 4 times -2, you can see in pretty blue there, minus 1 will give you y as being -8 minus 1, or -9. And on the right side there, we'll just pick another number here, and we'll let y equal 3. And doing that same process here, so you can plug in values for x or values for y to get the other. And notice x comes out 1, and there's a few points on our line. All right, now part B here, here's a whole different creature, an equation x equals the square root of y minus 1. And in this problem, we're going to let x equal 1. And plugging that in and solving, now remember, I see some skip steps here. Oh, I don't like when they skip steps, y'all know that. So Young's going to be all over this. So when you put 1 in for x, how did they get y here? Well, you have to square both sides of the equation. So the square takes out the square root. Somebody go, I knew that, Young, just shut up. And you'll get y minus 1 is 1, or y equals 2. And then it wants you to find a couple more ordered pairs here. All right, now this third equation, y equals x squared minus 4, they went ahead and they just took x values from -2 to 2, plugged them in, and got these y values. So again, graphing anything is just getting points. So I'll go ahead here and I'll take one of these. Let's take, -1 and plug it in for x here. So what would -1 squared minus 4 be? Well, -1 squared comes out +1 minus 4. So you can see that they get these values simply by plugging in values for x to get y. Or you can even plug values for y in to get x. Now also, there's some other tricks you might do. You might want to find the intercepts of the equations as a method of graphing. Now, to find the intercepts, all you have to do, let's say you're after the x-intercept, okay? All you have to do to get the x-intercept is let y equal 0. And usually 0 is just a really easy point to plug in for something, to solve and get the other creature. So let y be 0 and solve for x. So we'll give you some notes. And this is going to be used throughout the course, finding intercepts. So this will always get it done for you. And to find the y-intercept, looking at the x notes, guess what? You're going to let x equal 0 and solve for, what? Solve for y. And then step 2, find as many additional ordered pairs as necessary. 3, go ahead and plot them and connect the dots. All right, so let's see here. So we started out with this first equation, y equals 4x minus 1, and we've already gotten a few points for that graph. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and let y equal 0, like we talked about, to find the x-intercept, and plugging 0 in for y, notice x is going to be 1/4. Ooh, a fraction. I know y'all don't like that. That's okay. And plugging 0 in for x, we get the y-intercept as 0, -1. So let's see how that looks here. And we've already gotten some And then we found some other points by letting x be -2, remember. That gave us y is 9, and letting y be 3, and that gave us x is 1 here. So we'll plot these 4 points from the first couple steps here. Now notice, and I'll try to get these dots lined up as nice as I can. I'm going to go back to my pretty green because that kind of stands out here. So 1, 4, 0, and that's going to be a tough one here, would be about right here on the line, just a quarter of the way over on the x-axis. So do you see why they call that the x-intercept? It's where the line crosses x. The y-intercept of 0, -1 is right below it here. It's where the line crosses y. So it's not hard to see why one is called the y-intercept and why the other is called the x-intercept. Now really, since this is a line, all you really need is 2 points and you can connect the dots. But notice we got some other points here. -2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think I've got this lined up good or anything, but -2, -9, and 1, 3, here's 1, 3 up here, would also pass through the line. So it's just a collection, I mean, infinitely many points would make up this line. We could take x and put 1,000,000 in and get y. And y, we could let y be -1,000,000,000,000. But let's not go there. Now for this other graph here, we plotted some points and so forth here, so we already found some values if you want to go back and look at some of these. So notice on this one, we have to be real careful for values we put in here. Like if I'm listing ordered pairs here, I just can't choose any value for y because remember, square roots must come out to be what? Positive or 0. So I'm going to start with y. I'm going to plug 1 in there, which would give me the square root of 1 - 1, so x would be 0. See, do you see if you put like 0 in for y, you would get a negative number under the radical, and then you would have problems because, you know, we can only graph real numbers. And then I'll put 2 in for y. That'll give me the square root of 2 - 1. X would be 1. I'll put in 5. That'll give me this. So I'm trying to pick nice numbers for y here. We looked at some of those, and then you can see what the graph looks like. And then we also have all of our points here for this creature we're going to find whenever you have a quadratic equation. This is going to be the graph of a parabola. So plotting the points here and connecting the dots, there is your beautiful picture. So just some basics here on graphing equations, and we're going to get much more sophisticated as time goes on. Bob Young signing off.